Hello everyone, this is Small World. Now, regular viewers may have noticed that I haven't been making videos recently. Very astute observation, regular viewers. There are assorted reasons for that, and I might explain them elsewhere. Maybe I'll do an update video or something, although those always feel kind of vain, so I don't know. But there are various things that have kept me away from making videos over the last couple of months. So I'm easing back into making them with this, Small World. If you've been watching for a while, or you look through my back catalogue of videos, you'll be aware that I did some videos on a Steam version of a board game called Talisman. This is Small World, and this is also the Steam version of a board game. It's also on Android, and I think probably iOS, but I can definitely vouch for Steam and Android because I have both of those. This is a very different sort of board game from Talisman, though, where Talisman is a roll and move fantasy adventure. This is more of a strategy game, and I've heard several people cite it as the successor to something like Risk. That is basically a better version of that kind of territory conquest kind of game. Now, I'm not a good strategist, so before anyone gets all up in arms during the course of this video going, that was terrible strategy, what were you thinking? Because apparently Top Gear's Jeremy Clarkson is going to be viewing this. Yeah, before anyone gets all aggravated about my poor strategic play, I'm a bad strategist, and I know it. But it doesn't mean I can't enjoy the games, so don't expect any high-level strategic play, and anyone who's watched my Dark Reign videos can vouch for my complete lack of strategic aptitude. So, let's go straight ahead, and I will show you what the game's about. There are online versions, including Online Arena, which I haven't even looked at. You can invite your friends, local game, pass and play, which is kind of weird on Steam, but there you go, it works better on Android, I would imagine. We're going to play solo, a game against AI. So we have a number of players here. You can go up to 5. I actually find 5 too crowded, and even 4 is a bit crowded. So I'm going to stick with 3 for today, but I'm going to switch up the actual participants a little bit. And we'll plunge straight in here. I get to be known as Player 1 because I can't be bothered to change it. Incidentally, there are some basic sound effects and there's a constant music track, but I've got the music in particular turned down because Small World apparently defaults to ear-scouringly deafening volumes, which I don't like. And the music, I find when I'm trying to think about strategic moves, the music constantly battering at my eardrums just grinds on me after a while. So, and not in a sexual way. So I've got all of that turned down, but it is in the game. Now, I'm by no means an expert at Small World, so if I do get anything about the mechanisms or the rules wrong, then forgive me, but I broadly understand it. We're basically competing to get coins, which work as victory points, and the person who has the most of these points at the end of the game wins. Now, these race and sort of, they're not class, but sort of trait combinations here are chosen more or less at random. You can see there are 2 parts. So you have a race on the right and some kind of characteristic on the left. And if you're playing the physical board game, both of these would be shuffled up and dealt in randomized pairs. So you get different, races have different attributes each time. For instance, these ones, wealthy dwarves. The dwarves get that same dwarven ability in every game, but in this game, they get the wealthy ability. In another game, they might have got alchemist, or they might have got underworld, or any of various other abilities which we'll see cropping up during the course of the game. So there is some variability from one game of Small World to another. The other thing is that you don't play the same race for the entire game, because you get diminishing numbers of reinforcements as the turns progress. So at some point you have to put your current race into decline, which means you can't use them that turn unless you have a particular ability that allows you to do so. You score points for the territories they're occupying in that turn, but otherwise you basically can't do anything. And then the next turn, you choose a new race and trait combination and start anew. And you continue scoring points for territories still held by your declined race until either they're displaced or you decline again, if you see what I mean. It'll make sense as we get going. Also, I have a cold, so forgive me if I sound slightly congested. So, let's get going here. You'll notice that numbers of coins are appearing as we move down the list here, and that basically indicates that you actually have to pay an amount of coins to go further down the list. And then as new race and trait combinations come out, the list sort of slides up, so some that you have to pay for at the beginning will move up and become free later on, if you see what I mean. At least I believe that's the way it works. So really, it's a good idea to take the free one, unless it's rubbish. Usually, any given combination is going to have its advantages, but some are very powerful, and some are not so useful at different points in the game. So, we've got Wealthy Dwarves, where you get 7 bonus victory coins, basically straight away, at the end of your first turn. Dwarves, each space they occupy that has a mine gets you a bonus victory coin, in addition for the 1 coin per region that you get just for holding territory anyway. That mine region bonus is maintained even once you've declined your dwarves. Merchant Skeletons collect 1 bonus victory coin for any region you occupy at turn's end, which means instead of getting 1 point per region, you get 2 points per region. During troop redeployment, you receive 1 new skeleton token for every 2 non-empty regions conquered this turn. At the end of a turn, as you will see, you have to reassign your troops from the spaces they've taken, the spaces they've newly conquered, to try and put them into some kind of defensive formation. And with the skeletons, you actually get some bonus skeletons to defend with. Alchemist Halflings, 2 bonus victory coins at the end of each turn that your race hasn't gone into decline. You know, I'm going to just go with Wealthy Dwarves. Keep things simple. Wealth gives you a nice upfront bonus of 7 victory coins, and you can get bonus coins for occupying spaces with mines on them. So it's not a bad choice. Maybe not a brilliant choice, but like I said, not much of a strategist. So here's the game map. I think there are 2, at least in this version of Small World. There's another larger map for when you get up to 4 and 5 player games. This is the 2 and 3 player map here. Right, so you can see at the bottom we have our 7 dwarf tokens, which we're going to assign. No fancy animations or character models or anything here, because it's basically a straight representation of the board game. So we've got 7 to assign here. Now, no player is on the board yet, because we're the first. The forces that you see scattered around the land are basically, I can't remember what they're called, they're something like lost tribes or something. They're basically the remnants of previous civilizations. So when you're occupying a space, when you're conquering a space, you have to spend a number of your tokens depending on what's there. So I think 2 is the base. You can see if I hover over one of these completely empty spaces, it says 2 dwarves out of our 7 are going to be spent, leaving 5 behind in our hand. A mountain is harder to conquer, so you have to spend 3. And if there's a defender, again, you have to spend 3. Now, if there are several defenders, the number of tokens you have to spend increases accordingly. So it becomes harder to take a territory once it's being defended by an opponent. So, being dwarves, we get bonuses for the spaces that have the mine symbol on them, this red pick and shovel thing here. So there are, 3, 4, 5 of them scattered around. 1 of them is a mountain, 2 of them are mountains. We can only enter around the edges of the board, so we could go for this one here, we could go for this one here, or we could go for this one up here. Now, really we want to occupy more than one of them, which is going to necessitate grabbing one of these and then going for one of the mountain spaces that also has a mine. So I think I'm going to come up here in the top left, like this. And then I'm going to conquer this empty one, and then the mountain. There we go. That's all we can do with the number of troops we had this turn. And now we get to redeploy, which, as I said, is moving your forces around from one of the spaces you hold, between the spaces you hold, to try and defend them against the other players who are going to be encroaching. So I'll put my highest defences on this border space. Again, the mountain space, which we're occupying here, is actually easier to defend because it requires one more troop to conquer, and that applies to the enemy as well. So we don't need to put as many defensive forces on there to get the same level of defence. So I'll put most of them on the edge because other players are going to be sort of the edge space. Other players are going to be coming on at the edge of the map. And then we'll end our turn. So we get our 7 bonus up front for being wealthy dwarves. And then we get 1 for each territory we're occupying, plus bonuses for the mines because we're dwarves. So we ended up with 12, which is a very good first turn score. But bear in mind that most of that is that plus 7 bonus that we got as a one-off, just for having the wealthy trait. I'm going to have a swig of my tea while the next player takes their turn. So the skeletons came on in the southwest corner there, and they got 6 coins on their first turn, which is actually pretty good. And we've got some humans coming on here. You'll have noticed a couple of die rolls. This game doesn't use dice that much. You know, it's not a roll and move thing like Talisman is. What it does use them for is reinforcements, which is basically on the last of the troops that you're going to put down on your turn. If they're not strong enough to just straight up conquer the territory that you're asking them to conquer, you can go for a die roll. And the die has 3 blank faces, 1 face of 1, 1 face of 2, and 1 face of 3. And these act as one-off reinforcements. So say you need 4 troops to conquer a particular space, and you only have 3 troops. If those are your last 3 troops for this turn, you can roll this reinforcement die, and it will give you either none, 1, 2, or 3 extra troops just for that one action. But because 3 of the faces of the die are blank, more often than not, you roll blank. I mean, it's a 50% chance of rolling a blank, but it seems to come up blank more often than not. Alright. The dwarves aren't very populous, it seems, so we've only got 4 troops for this next turn. We do want more mines, of course, but you can only conquer adjacent to a current territory that you hold, unless you have an ability that lets you do otherwise. So I don't think we're going to be able to get over to another mine space. I mean, we could take this one here and then try to conquer this mountain, but I think that would require a die roll. Still, it's worth a go. Or we could put our race into decline this turn. Just forget about taking it any further, decline it, and then take a new race. But we'll have a go, like this. So you can see when I hover over this space, a die roll appears, saying we need to roll a 2 on the reinforcement die. Or a 3, of course. Long odds. Long odds. I don't think I want to risk that. Or I could conquer this blank space with just a roll of 1. So, although it won't reward us as much as the mountain, you know what, let's try for the mountain. Live dangerously. Yeah, like I said, you usually roll a blank. So we were defeated, failed to conquer the mountain there. And we need to reassign our dwarves. So I'll just split them 2 and 2 like that. I feel like the humans over on the east and the skeletons in the southwest are probably not going to... They might attack this mountain, actually, so let's put an extra dwarf on there. In fact, let's put all our extra dwarfs on there. We need to leave at least 1 on the spaces we've conquered in order to continue holding them. And we're done for this turn. So remember, we get 1 coin for each territory we hold, plus a bonus for the ones that have mines on them because we're dwarves. I think next turn we'll probably put our dwarves into decline and select another race to replace them. I actually forget what the victory condition is for Small World. I tend to just try and do as well as I can, and then at some point the game ends. Okay, so skeletons are racking up quite a lot of points. They got 10 just then. And humans are doing reasonably well, to be fair. Let's see how many they get this time. I think humans get a bonus for being on farmland as well. So they should probably get quite a lot of points this turn. 9 isn't as many as I thought they might get. I could have worked it out if I'd looked carefully, of course, but I don't care enough for that. So, we've only got 3 dwarf reinforcements. Like I said, your reinforcements diminish over time. So I'm actually going to select this orange sort of broken column thing here to put our race into decline, which means we can't use it this turn, but we will score points for whatever we're holding at this point. And these declined race tokens, these sort of faded out green tokens that we have on the board, mark where our declined race is, and we will actually continue scoring for those spaces in subsequent turns until the declined tokens are either defeated or removed by us declining the next race. You can only have 1 declined race on the board at a time, as far as I'm aware. There might be an ability that changes that. As you can see, at least in this version, the electronic version of Small World, turns roll round pretty quickly. This is one of the reasons I'm not so keen on the 4 and 5 player version, because you end up with quite a lot of downtime while the other players are all taking their turns. Okay, so now we get to select a new race. Do I want Alchemist Halflings? Probably not. Ooh, Dragon Master's a nice one, if you can get Dragon Master. Once a turn, you may conquer a region using a single race token, regardless of the number of defending tokens. And the space that's occupied by the dragon then can't be conquered by anyone else until you move the dragon. So that's very powerful. Wizards get bonus points for occupying spaces that have that magic symbol on them. So if we have a look at the map, you'll see there's one over here on the west coast. There's a field occupied by humans just down the middle that has one. There's one in the southwest occupied by skeletons. There's one over on the east, and so on. So there are a few of them around. That might be worth doing. What else have we got? Seafaring trolls. Trolls are a good race. I like them. Any region occupied by a troll gets a troll lair constructed in it, which actually gives you a bit of a defense bonus. Seafaring's pretty good because you can conquer the bodies of water as though they're bits of land. So that's quite nice. Tempted to take Seafaring Trolls, but Dragon Master Wizards could be a good one. Underworld Giants, not so bothered. I'm not a great fan of Halflings, I have to say. Alchemist is a good one though. 2 bonus victory coins at the end of each turn your race hasn't gone into decline. If you can keep that up for a few turns, you can get these incremental bonuses adding up quite well. Of course, Seafaring Trolls are quite expensive. We have to pay several coins to get them. So, I'm actually going to take Dragon Master Wizards, because I really like that Dragon Master ability. So, you'll see we now have 10 wizards, and we also have a dragon down here as well. So if we drag our dragon somewhere, we can... Again, we have to enter around the edge of the board, but we can take any space, regardless of how many people defend it, for 1 token if we use our dragon. So I'm thinking we need to clear out spaces... We need to use this dragon power to clear out spaces occupied by enemy forces. The skeletons seem to be the ones that are racking up the most points, and they seem to have the least defences. Lots of 1 token spaces down here. So I'm going to use... well, maybe I won't use the dragon straight away. I might use the dragon to conquer the mountain. Let's see, how many wizards would it take? 4. Ooh, that's a lot. Okay. I will use the dragon to conquer here. And remember, that means that can't be reconquered until we move the dragon. So that space, which is a magic space and will give us bonus coins, is actually secure until we move our dragon out. I'll also take this one. And I'll take that mountain. I can try to take that mountain, but it requires a die roll. And that requires a lesser die roll, so I'll try and take this neutral territory here. Or this one, I guess. That might be a good option. Yeah, I'll try this one. Yes, we actually successfully rolled the reinforcements there. And now we get to redeploy for defensive purposes. Humans might come at us from the northeast here, so I should leave a defense there, really. And the skeletons will probably try to take back some of our territories. So I'm going to move one over there, and then another one into the mountain like this. Remember, they can't take this one that has the dragon on it. I'm going to try and pick up the pace a little bit here, because the first couple of turns have dragged out a bit as I've been explaining things. But hopefully you're starting to get an idea of how the game plays, if you didn't already realise. 10's pretty good. If you didn't already know how to play the game, hopefully you've got enough of an idea of it now after these first couple of turns. It's really not complicated. The only complicated thing about Small World is scoring. And of course in the electronic version that's handled for you. So it plays a lot faster than if you're playing the tabletop version, where you have to tot up the scores yourself. I'm a little alarmed that the other players don't seem to be declining their races. I mean, they are oh, wow, that's a lot of points. Yeah. They are continuing to get a lot of points out of their current races, so I guess there's no reason to decline them yet. But usually you don't go more than a few turns without someone declining. Okay, where do I want to put my dragon first? I mean, I know I've been attacking the skeletons, but actually the humans now seem to be the ones racking up the points. And actually if I attack this human here next to the lake, that's a magic space. So I'll get bonus points for that. So I will use my dragon. Well, first, let's hover over it and see how many wizards it will take. 4. So, let's use the dragon to take that. And I will use the wizards to... I could take this mountain. Yeah, let's do that. There we go. And I don't really have enough troops to do much with any of these other territories. I'll have a go at one of these. Try and get the humans out of this farmland. This one. We only have to roll a 2, which is still a long shot, but not too bad. Yeah, didn't work. Kind of thought it wouldn't. But at this point, the skeletons are advancing here across the south, and we're no longer protected by the dragon down there, so we need to get some troops onto that magic space, since that's one of our big scoring areas. Yeah. That's going to have to do, I think. We're stretched a bit thinly. We might have to decline soon. Okay, turn's done. Oh, I think there was an extra one still in my hand, which I could have assigned. I didn't notice that. Oh, well. It's done now. That looks like quite a lot of points. Remember, we still continue to score points for the territories occupied by our declined dwarves. At least until they're booted out, or we decline our next race. And we're still, because it's a trait of the dwarves, we're still getting an extra point for each of those mine spaces which our declined dwarves are occupying. So they're bringing in a lot of our points each turn at the moment. One of the reasons I want to hold off on declining our Dragon Master Wizards, because as soon as we do that, they will become the declined race, the remaining dwarves will be wiped off the board, and we'll stop scoring for those 3 spaces, including 2 mines, which the dwarves are occupying still. But we're getting to the point now where we only have 4 wizards. I shouldn't think we'll get more than maybe 1 more turn out of this, in all honesty. So let's see where the best place to go would be. That would require all 4 of our troops. 3. So we could take one of these with the dragon, and then we could take one of these other spaces. Maybe. Skeletons are going to be tougher to hit. We don't really have enough troops. So, let's use the dragon to take this farmland. And then use our remaining wizards to take this farmland. And then we need to reassign our troops like this. Which does leave us vulnerable to the skeletons down here. But there isn't really a great deal we can do about it. I'm going to take one of these wizards and put it over here because we do score extra on these magic spaces. So I might just have to sacrifice this northeastern farmland here. Okay, done. And I think on the next turn we're probably going to have to decline our wizards because we're just running out of troops here. Let's see how much we rack up this turn. Fair few points, I should think. 15! Pretty good, pretty good. I tend to do passably well in 2 and 3 player games of Small World. Against the AI. I haven't played it against another person. I tend to do sort of mid-table / badly in 4 and 5 player games for some reason. As I said, not much of a strategist, so I guess that lets me down in those situations. Yeah, I think it's best at this point to just put the wizards into decline. We only have 2 reinforcements here, so let's get rid of them. And because that new decline wipes our dwarfs off the board, we're not going to score any points for those. So we only get 7 this turn, which isn't great, but we had to do it sooner or later. The skeletons have also gone into decline, so B4P bot, which I can't help reading as BAP bot, is going to be choosing a new race next turn as well. Oh, and they've actually wiped out a couple of the spaces we'd been occupying with our declined wizards, so that's not great. Okay, what shall we choose this time? Underworld Giants, you may conquer any region with a cavern with 1 less race token than normal. Regions with caverns are also considered adjacent to each other for your conquest purposes. That's actually quite a nice feature. Giants may conquer any region adjacent to a mountain they occupy at a cost of 1 less than normal. So, there are a few spaces that have caverns on them, but I'm not sure that's going to be hugely useful to us. I think I'm going to go Seafaring Trolls, because I like trolls and I like seafaring. The advantage of seafaring is you basically get these 3 bonus regions, the bodies of water, and people can't take them off you. There might be another ability that allows the conquest of water, I'm not sure. But for the most part, at least, people can't take them off you. So they're sort of free points in that respect. So, where do we want to put our Seafaring Trolls? Well, of course we want to conquer a body of water here, but which one? Again, we have to come in from the edge of the map. Don't want to deal with that 8 hobbit space. That's just insane. So, we don't get bonuses from any spaces in terms of points. So we want to try and grab as many territories as we can and rely on our troll hole thing, troll lair, to give us extra defense, so we can afford to spread ourselves a bit more thinly than we usually would. Let's see. Alright, well, let's come in southeast? No, northwest. That seems to have the most empty spaces for a quick point grab, so let's do that. Here, here, there, and here. Now we failed that roll, but I kind of expected to fail it. Somehow we've managed to build a rocky troll lair on the water, but never mind. And I could really do with reinforcing these trolls like this, because we have these 8 hobbits lurking here. Of course, the location of the 8 hobbits doesn't matter, because they're going to go back into the player's hand in a minute anyway, and then be redeployed. But still, I don't feel great about it. I feel threatened. Those hobbits are lasting a long time. Or they feel like they are, anyway. Oh, we have an extra troll in our hand as well, so let's assign that down there. Okay, that'll do. Oh, hold on. Bapbot, who was the skeletons, is going to bring in a new race, which means edge of the board, which means he might come on northwest here. So, accidentally magnified the board. So I should probably assign some troops at the edge there to try and discourage him from coming in on my side here. And we're done. So those are the regions that we still control from our declined wizards, plus the ones from our trolls, 9 points. Not great, but satisfactory. Okay, Underworld Giants for Bapbot. Which means he doesn't have to just go adjacent to regions he already controls, because he can treat all spaces that have a cavern on them as adjacent, basically a network of tunnels underneath the land. So that does give you a bit of mobility, but I didn't really see a great advantage to taking any of the cavern spaces, hence not taking the Underworld Giants myself. Halflings are still going, still not declined, but they're losing a lot of spaces here. Okay, where do we want to go now? We have 6 trolls. So... And yes, you can conquer your own declined races. You have to if you want to take that space with your current race. It would take me 5 to oust those hobbits. Might not be worth it. Or it might. That could have been a bad play, but it's worth a go. And then let's take this neutral territory over here. Or fail to take it, but that's fine. These trolls aren't working out as well as I hoped they would. Now, the giants are swinging in from the north and the hobbits are swinging in from the south, so I feel a bit pincered here. I'm going to leave most of my defences on the south side here. In fact, I'd say all of my defences. I'm going to bolster up the south side and just hope that the giants don't come in too hard from the north. Oh, there was another one still in my hand. That's so easy to miss. I do that all the time in Small World. Which, of course, isn't something you'd do if you were actually playing the tabletop version and had some tiles in your hand. It would be much harder to make that mistake. Okay. You may notice that I'm not breaking this game up into individual episodes. That's because Small World, at least a 3-player game against the AI, tends not to run that long, so I'll just do a one-off episode. I don't know if I'm going to do more episodes of Small World. I don't know. I'll just basically take that as it comes. Maybe I will, maybe I won't. Let me know what you think of it anyway. Might be worth me just declining the trolls at this point, actually. But I decided instead to at least oust some of the hobbits. And then I guess we'll probably have to decline next turn. I don't think we'll survive another turn with the trolls. Well, I mean, we'll survive, but I didn't think it would be beneficial to us to try and squeeze another turn out of the trolls. I'm starting to feel like either the trolls weren't a good choice or I haven't used them very well, because they haven't really been scoring us very many points. But we'll see. We've got spirit ghouls. Ghouls can be quite nasty. Swamp orcs. Heroic Amazons. Amazons can be pretty good. I played a game of this yesterday, maybe it was this morning, with Fortress Amazons. They were absolutely devastating. So there's the endgame condition. Like I said, I actually don't know what the endgame condition is. And we did win, sort of. Yeah, I guess it was a draw in terms of points, but there must have been some kind of tiebreaker condition, which led to us winning. Hail to the king! We just barely defeated the 2 AI players to be the king of the Small World. Let's have a quick look at game stats for those who are interested in such things. Okay. Tinbot was my preferred victim. That was because I kept going after those hobbits, I guess. Tinbot mainly attacked me. In fact, both of the others mainly attacked me. And it felt that way. So anyway, that has been Small World, available on Steam for a price which I can't remember, but I will try and remember to put in the description box below. Also available definitely on Android and probably on iOS. So, this is the digital version of Small World. Thanks for watching, and rejoin me the next time I upload a video to watch some videos. I don't yet know what it's going to be, but we'll see. It'll be something fun, no doubt. So until then, bye for now.